Currently, I am a senior lecturer for the USC Suzanne Dorkbeck School of Social Work. I've been a senior lecturer teaching here at USC Suzanne Dorkbeck School of Social Work for about 11 years. Um, After graduate school, I did my graduate studies here to become a social worker. I was asked by the university or the school to come back and develop a course. And I reached out to one of my colleagues that I was in school with, Steve Kim, who also is the founder and executive director of Project Kinship, to come out and help me develop the course, where I took a social problems course. And in that social problems course, it really hit me because one, I looked around the classroom and no one looked like me. So I'd always sit in the back of the class, really timid, shy, not wanting to really be vocal. As I said, no one really looked how I did. I remember the instructor, Professor Willer, white instructor, who later became one of my mentors, and he was putting data set upon data set on the board, and he turned to the class and he said, "I want you to analyze this data." And it was at that point where I was really, really taken back. Felt like I was going to erupt and jump out of my skin, because when I started to see the clusters of incarceration, HIV and AIDS, and substance abuse, and drug use, and youth homicide, and all of that, I started to see all these social issues. And it was interesting because I started to see a pattern. And it was at that moment where I really felt like I had to say something. Timidly raised my hand and I said, "Professor Willer, I don't mean to be racial, but I think there's a racial issue going on." And he erupted and he said, "That's right, Robert. I need you and everyone here to recognize the inequities that exist in this country." Because I started to see that all these social issues that I mentioned previously were affecting communities of color. And it hit me. It was at that moment I had a rude awakening. And it was like, wow, why was it growing up that I saw, certain people having to slang dope on the corner at a young age? I saw a lot of my friends and female friends as teen parents. Why so-and-so was addicted to drugs? Why did so-and-so get incarcerated? Why did all these things happen in communities of color? Started to look at these social forces at play and how they were working against, largely, as I said, communities of color. That's when I was so motivated to say, you know what? We need to take this into our communities. We need to really educate and really create the awareness so we could actually do something about it. I would say at this moment, my parents did their best, and they really did their best to support myself and um, my sister and all of us, and working jobs and really attempting to keep it together, positioning us in the best opportunities we could have, attempting to put us through private school. And still, though, it's tough. It's tough when things are working against you. I don't know if I'll do too much different. I think everything is a learning opportunity, right? I think there's so much in failure and rejection. And if we're open to it, we could find the opportunities and success in those. Um, and I think even in my youngster days, going through what I did, I believe that molded me to be where I'm at today. So I would say, if anything, maybe take my studies a little bit more serious in the earlier days, because it took me 6 years to get out of community college, man. A 2-year community college, even you were like, mine. Yeah, so maybe take it a little bit more serious. But other than that, man, I think everything, if we're open to it, we start to learn and develop from it. I would say what has been essential is my faith and belief in God. And I have to attribute that to my parents, because the best thing they could have ever provided is teaching me how to pray. And I think that's essential for all parents, to teach their children how to reach out to God and call out to God and cry out to God. Oh, and what's great is they have the 4 pillars over there. If you ever check it out, it says community, family. Um, it also says church.
Wow.
So that's huge. Man. You gotta have a solid foundation. This university, their first, people don't really know, but their first president of the university was a pastor, Pastor Bovard. That's named after him, Pastor Bovard. That's the first president of this university. He's an actual pastor. Pretty cool. Some of the biggest trials are growing up, I was adopted. So coming to terms and understanding that it's not so much about someone giving you up, it's about being given a chance by loving parents that actually wanted you. So having the parents I have now and coming to terms that, these are loving parents and it's less about being tossed aside. I think that was huge, and that has been the biggest impact on me. A lot of the trials is being able to stay on course, being able to recognize it's less about me than I think it is, and it's about how could we continue to support those that God allows us to. Current hobbies, I like music. Definitely like to go walking, do some hiking. I like to be in worship. I know it's not a hobby, but
if I do think it has to be
beautiful.
Oh, I totally.
I have a
And
YouTube that I was gonna
Like
pick.
a lot of movies,
exactly
films.
what
My whole thing
I would
was
say. It's not just like one person.
I like to just get out there in the great outdoors and do some reflection. No other university that talks about the Trojan family. It's all family. We're all looking out for one another. You could go around the world and just bump into somebody from SC, and we all have that family. We all have that fight on slogan. It's pretty cool. You don't see that at other universities. And I've been to other universities. It's not dismissing other universities, but that's kind of the mantra they have. This whole Trojan family. How do we work together? I'd say the students are awesome. The students, you thrive off their energy. They bring it. Highly motivated. When you see people who are looking to create change and just commit themselves to what they're studying, or whether it be social work or engineering, architecture, biochemistry, neurosciences. Just to see the focus and the due diligence they have to really elevate and create a better society, a better world. That's pretty outstanding, and it just you thrive off that. And you see student groups come together for a cause to do some amazing things. These are the Heisman trophies, man. Look at that. Heisman trophies. So I was introduced to football through my father. My dad and his brothers at the age of 9, 10, and 11 used to sell newspapers in front of the Coliseum. And after they were finished selling newspapers, they let them check out the football games. And what they witnessed was this Trojan family like they haven't ever seen before. So it was at that point where him and his brothers were true Trojan fans. So growing up, I had that jersey on me, had the football, and it was all about Trojan football. I thought I was going to be a Trojan football player, but I didn't quite have the physique. But the best thing came out of that, being able to go to school here and now teaching here. So yeah, a lot of that comes from the linkage my dad has as a Trojan football fan. So Trojans, fight on. I teach here at the Student Association of the school here. My nephew, he's the coach Coach here. Hey, we finished strong, man.
Yeah, one more game.
We gotta keep that momentum going, man. Man, they could all train like you did, man. We'll be in good shape.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, thank you.
We'll get it back on.
Thank you for the season. Seriously.
Thank you for the support.
Of course. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man. Thank you for what you're doing. Say that there's so much left to do. I'm so thankful for what I've been provided. I mean, to be able to teach at USC. I mean, growing up as a youth in LA, the only schools I really knew about was USC and Cal State LA. Growing up in LA, that's all you really know. You don't really know about any other schools. They're so far removed. But these schools are in your community. Applied 2 times, and I was the first time denied. The second time placed on a waiting list. But I was eventually accepted here. And then to be teaching at a university that I was very intimidated by, because actually, I'm being real. I thought to go to USC you had to be white and rich. And some of that is true, but to be able to actually be here is all God. That's all God. That's the miracles of God. And I'm thankful. But to see where we're at and to see how we need more youth that look like me and youth of color, there's so much more work to be done. There's so much that we need to do. And I'm looking for others. I'm looking for the youth to step up as well, to change the game for their communities, to support their communities, and see how we can work together to make this happen. I'm a co-founder of a youth center. It's called Visionary Youth Center. But it's a youth center in East Hollywood. We also have a site in South Central Los Angeles. And it's really committed to investing in our youth, ages 8 to 17 specifically. Those are critical years of development, and really providing opportunities. A lot of the volunteers and interns and people that work in these centers that we have are college students, graduate students, and really providing an alternative to our youth, and really taking an approach that really speaks to their experiences and their dynamics in their communities from a cultural humility approach. So really being sensitive to what they are navigating, and really seeing how we could include their families in the process, just to show another way of coming up, support whatever they would like to be, quite honestly. Not us telling them what they need to do, but what they would like to do. You know, dream big, and how could we support you, and identify some of those key strengths that they do have, so they could actually really transform into what they would like to be growing up. So it's, you know, really investing in our youth, seeing how we could best support them, peer mentorship. So currently, I mean, I think we have a few youth who are now in college, a few youth who are working right now that have been through our program, and got community support, which is phenomenal, which is great, and seeing how we could all work together, and they leading the process, not us. We are just there to support them in whatever direction they like to take.